Hello. Hi, everyone. How's it going? My background is blurry, so I can I finally figured out how to do this blur effect. So I can do a real reveal. First of all, can you all hear me? Yeah, okay, cool. You never know. I'm checking the thing. Thank you so much for joining me on a Wednesday afternoon, evening, morning. Gail, Suze, what's up? It's so good to see you. I'm gonna give people like a minute to log on because it's only been 3 years that we've lived exclusively on Zoom. So we'll just give it a second. Oh, Haley, I love your color in the back there. It's a little similar to what I'm going to show you. So exciting. Oh my gosh. Hi, Rich. Hi, Shanti. So good to see you. Yay, yay, yay. Y'all, let's see if my mom comes. Because the last time I had a Zoom call where it was for my fans, my mom did not make it because of the Zoom technology. Mom, if you're watching the replay, at least we got you the replay. So that's great. Hey, Charles, what's going on? What's up, Joshua? Giving everyone a hot second here. Thanks for joining me. So today's kind of just casual. I'm going to play along with a session from the passenger record. I'm going to share my screen share. It's a little tongue twister, and show you what the inside of a session looks like inside of my studio, which for those of you who don't know, for some reason, I thought it was a really good idea to renovate my entire studio. I was like, I'll just rearrange stuff. It started as a rearrangement, and then it turned into a renovation when I decided I hated the carpet that was here before we moved in, and I tore it up and there were no floors underneath. So I had to install floors and I couldn't find anyone to do it kind of last minute. So I did it myself. So then it became a renovation, and that happened the same week that I released this album. 0 out of 10 recommend renovating your music studio while releasing an album. Just gonna put that up there. But we make it work. So this is kind of a album release conversation. Let's talk about whatever you want. Also, for those of you that don't know, I made this album on a train, 100% on a train over 5 days. And so I learned a lot about train travel, and I've been getting a lot of questions about that. So I'm happy to tell you what the showers on a sleeper car are like, if that's a question that is burning in your soul. Hey, Josh, good to see you. Sarah, what's up? Hey, Carlene. A couple Shannons. I love a good, small population of Shannons. I think that's important for every Zoom call, honestly. Thanks, Josephine. Thanks so much. Yes, chaos does thrive on chaos. That is true. I feel like, what's that? The object, what's the quote, y'all? The object in motion stays in motion, moves through the motion. You know what I'm saying, but it's that idea, right? So how did I collaborate while on a train with other musicians? Great question. Let's just dive in. I love these. So I created the music beds and the songs that I knew I wanted to collaborate with. I had already talked to a few people and said, hey, would you be interested if I can make this work? I don't even know if this is possible. But I got those done first. So in the first 2 days that I was on the train, and emailed them MP3s. I would like hotspotted my phone when we were at like a 5-minute station stop because there's no internet Wi-Fi reception when you're going through all the places quickly. So I emailed them MP3s, and then they took a couple days to get back to me. So the train ride home, so I spent 5 days out and I wrote 12 pieces of music. And then I stayed for 2 days in LA, didn't touch anything, didn't touch the music at all. And then on the train ride home is when I brought in their tracks and edited and did all the sort of tweaking. So it wasn't like they were sitting in the room and we were like co-writing. It was a little more of like, here's the thing, what do you got? For the Dallas String Quartet, I actually wrote out their sheet music. So they had parts, and sent that to them, and they recorded that. And they actually got that back to me after I got back. But it was really more of the mixing process for me. I didn't have to do much editing. I knew I had my MIDI strings in, so it wasn't really part of the composition process. Versus Sherry Finzer, who plays flute on the Two Feathers, she played 2 different flutes, and a bass flute and an alto flute, and it's really cool sounds. And she was like, pick one, and they were both beautiful, but I wanted to weave them in and out, and kind of they just felt like floating feathers, and I saw a million birds like tons of bald eagles. And so I had this bird thing on the train ride. So I was like, I'm going to call it the two feathers. And I sort of weaved in her part. So that was a little bit more of the editing, composing process. So I did do that on the train. But yeah. You love DSQ. I just played live with them at a big Grammy party in Las Vegas, which was such a trip. And they are some of the most amazing, talented people. Like their warm-ups are like Beethoven's Ninth. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what is this world? They're incredible, incredible humans. Shanti, I met them. My publicist, Katie Long Becker, introduced us. I think they've been working with her for a while, and she was kind of like, you guys need to collaborate. Dallas String Quartet, they're known as, I think their tagline is something like, where Bon Jovi meets Bach or something. They do a lot of like pop cover songs in a classical form. So if anyone has seen Bridgerton season 2, the whole time I was thinking, this must be Dallas String Quartet. This must be Dallas String, because they had all these pop songs, and it wasn't. But the good news is the song that they're on, The Chariot, just got onto the Bridgerton official Spotify playlist for season 2, which is the biggest Spotify playlist I've ever been on, until the newest one that Katie just showed me, for The Witcher, for that show, has a Spotify playlist, and that has like 600,000 followers. That's a lot of people. So it's this same song, this song with Chariot, that I'm actually going to show you the session of. So that's awesome. Yeah, Sharon is kind of like the flute person in the New Age world. She's all over the place. One of the reasons I reached out to her, I was actually very surprised that she said that A, she could do it, and B, she would be willing to do it while I was still on the train, like in this very short amount of time. So yeah, very cool. I'm so glad. Hey, Elisa. Hey, Matt. It's so awesome to see you all. Hey, Steph and Robin. So yeah, I'm answering questions about all of the things passenger, and I'm going to unblur my screen and share with you my studio, because this has been such a work of love. For those of you that didn't see my email of the before, I don't know if anyone got to see the before. I'm going to plop a before picture into the chat here. I think I can do that. Can I do that? Let's see. It's an image that you might have to like click on to see. That's looking backwards. Silas is here. Y'all, Silas is my husband. He's on my Zoom call. Yay. I can share my screen with the image. Suze, look at you with your good ideas. All right. Like hide on these other things. All right, I'm gonna share desktop too with y'all's. And then can you see, I know you can see my logic session, but can you also see this picture? Yes, someone nod. So yes, okay, cool. So that's the before, and I would say here, that's like basically what you're going to see behind me, the door behind me. There is another picture of the before somewhere. Nope, that's the after. Nope, that's the after. You guys, I don't know where the other side of it is, but that it's messy. It's a lot of white. And let's just talk about my sound treatment. This is my 7-year ago Cheryl being super frugal and went and got $20 carpets at Lowe's and cut them up and put them on my ceiling with a lot of nails. Silas can attest to how many nails I had to remove when taking that sound treatment off. But y'all, it worked. So maybe don't put it on cockeyed like I did. Maybe plan out where you're going to put the screws and the nails so you don't have 400,000 holes in your ceiling that you have to patch up before you do that. So the pics aren't showing. Oh, I thought you saw the pics. No one saw the pics?
I saw the first one, but then as you were clicking, they are right. It was like we saw a pic for a hot second, and I thought, okay, we're going to see more. And then I couldn't tell if you were clicking or just like.
Let's try this.
Down. Yeah.
Here, let's try this. Can you see that, Josh? Be my eyes and ears.
Yes, I can see this. Yes.
Okay. Someone saw it because you said you had the same keyboard as me. All right, so there's the before. It's not bad, but I'll just tell you, and for those of you that know the story of the passenger, I I went on this train trip on January 22nd. 2 weeks earlier, I was going to Los Angeles from New York to go to the Grammys, and the Grammys got canceled. And that same day that the Grammys got canceled, I found out that one of my best friends passed away from cancer. And this was 2 weeks before I was supposed to leave. And I decided to still go and just do some grieving and processing and big emotions. And it was totally worth it. But he and I wrote a musical, and he literally sat in that black and white chair for 2 hours every week for about a year and a half straight. And there was something really beautiful. I called it Kevin's chair. But there was something about the energy in here that was really like, it wasn't moving for me. And I would like come in, do my work and leave. Like I didn't want to be in the room anymore. I think I moved beyond like the cream palette also just from a branding, standpoint. So that being said, I'm going to unplug my mic here, and I'm going to walk you around my new studio. Hold on. Let me just get my So there, can you hear my audio? I'm switched to my computer. It's not gonna be as good as my mic, and I'm unplugging some stuff around my room here. So yes, thank you, Carlene. It's not bad, meaning still very cute. Right, it's not bad, but here we go. The studio reveal. I'm like, how do I unblur myself, y'all? Dun 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 dun. How do I? There. All right. This is the studio. So I'm gonna give you a little tour here. So I needed an accent wall. I love teal. So we decided to go dark. And I've got my plants. I have some little memories of things and crystals in my tarot cards, but I also have some music things. And of course, my little train memorabilia. Got this little seating area. So I did get a new chair. We didn't get rid of Kevin's chair. It's going to go up in the attic where there's like a little finished space. I've got a nook, y'all, a nook. This was where I had a little vocal booth here, and I just never used it. I didn't need it when I didn't have people in my space. So I put some beadboard here. Got my aunt, whose family's from Russia, her balalaika, I can't say it, my ukulele, which I may play, little seating area. That's a lot of storage. And this is the space. A friend of mine who I also hired to design some of this stuff saw this pink chair, and I'm like, I don't do pink, I'm a blue and teal gal. And she's like, trust me. And then we got this rug that kind of matches. And I got a new desk and put it together. So when you walk in, you see this, and I've got some LED lights over there, and I've got my microphone set up, and I've got an audio interface, and I'm happy to talk tech with any of you musicians that have studios. And then the wall, dun, 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 dun. So let me just plug my audio back in. It's so clean. And I also I had to clear out the entire room, right? So there's like just the process of taking 6.5 years of stuff out and then being really particular about what comes in. This room is so clean and clutter free. If you open the door, you're going to see like stuff is like falling out of the hallway. It's going to be a process to clean it back up. But give me 1 second, come up with questions if you want, but I'm going to plug my mic back in now that I'm back at my desk. So give me literally 2 seconds. I'm going to play a little song. I'm going to share my screen, show you a session from The Passenger. Stand by. Stand by. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Am I back? I think we're back. So, I had posted in the Key of Success group, I had literally like 6 different colors swipes because I couldn't decide. I'm like the most indecisive person. Like I don't go and get my nails done because when they're like, pick a color, and you look at the wall and it's 400,000 colors, that's a problem for me. Hold on, I'm switching back to my good mic. Here we go. So the colors ended up being not boisterous blue. It was, I think it was it was Blue Midnight. It was the one that was on papers. I didn't actually paint it. It was in between the blue and the green one. So that's what the wall is. It's so funny because Haley is right next to me on my Zoom screen, and it feels like we have the same color color feeling going on there. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, I can't say that I cleaned this. It was really more like a dump, and then I had to bring stuff back in. So, uh, I need to clean the rest of the house. I have a plan, like one area per day, and the plan is to have the house back to normal by Monday. So I've got like a 5-day cleanup plan. So I have a very patient husband, and my poor dogs haven't even been upstairs since I've started this whole thing. So I've got a nice pull out. My desk has the keyboard now pulls out, and I swapped out keyboards. I have a lighter keyboard here. So you can hear it's a little more tinny than my other one. I loved playing that big Yamaha, but it didn't make sense. I didn't need it in the room. I just needed a MIDI controller that I could play. So, yeah. So thanks for seeing my MIDI room, my control room here. I guess this is where I feel a lot of space, and I feel like it's also complete. Like there's nothing else to do. I'm like, I finished it. And I feel like a lot of times for projects for me, I'm like, I'll just finish this later. Or like, I'll do that I'll tweak that. I'll tweak that. So it's like, it's done. So welcome to my done space. So if you're an Amplify or ever, or in any of my fan memberships or get on any Zoom calls, this will be your, this is what you see from now on. So yeah, does my studio have a name? I mean, no, but I'm open to a name. That's a great idea. I mean, do you all name your studios? What are your spaces names? I would be very, very, very curious to that. Yeah. So Haley, you say same color background, same keyboard. Oh, you have the same train whistle, same white shelves. Oh my gosh, they're not IKEA, but I mean, there's so many of those that like, I don't remember where I got them. They've come with me like every place I've ever moved. So, Poet's Corner, Sarah, I love that. Ooh, what a great idea. Maybe I'm gonna have to, my space is called Unfinished. It's cute. Unfinished. Poet's Corner, yeah. Kind of looks like I have wings. Oh, that's interesting. I love that. So fun. I'll have to think on that, but that's a great question, and I totally would love other people's names. And now is everyone thinking like, what do I name my studio? Like on my bed. Super cool. I'm just checking to make sure I didn't miss any comments. Yeah, the pink chair is great, right? Thanks, Robin. I was like, I don't do pink, and the Katie who I was with, she was like, it's not pink, it's mauve. And I was like, I've literally never heard of that word before. How do you even spell it? But apparently it's the color of rusty rose. Who knew? So, there you go. You've named cars too. I've heard of that. I've heard of naming cars. I've never named a car, but I've definitely heard of people naming cars. But naming studio, if it's not like an actual like office, yeah, that makes sense. I look like I'm going to a train. Yeah, it does. It looks very trainy. Yeah, totally. So speaking of trains, are you interested in me showing you a session and playing this piece from the what's the record called? The Passenger. Oh, and by the way, y'all, first of all, I'm so glad you're here. But second of all, we have one day. So you all know, if you've been following me for a little while, that anytime I release a record, I have a very specific goal in mind. Sometimes it's to play a lot of live shows. Obviously, that was before COVID. Sometimes it's to get licensing deals. That was my album One Up. I put strings on it, and I tried really hard to make some moves in getting those songs placed in TV shows, which was a really fun goal to have. For these new age records, I've learned a lot about the Billboard charts, and they changed their rules pretty much the week before I released my first new age record. And ever since, I've been mad about it, because I would have hit the charts and been like #1 on the Billboard New Age chart. So ever since then, I've talked to people at Billboard. They're like, it's pretty much impossible to get on it if you're an independent artist. Like, it's such a label, big name thing. And I'm like, game on, challenge accepted. And it may be like a fruitless, stupid challenge, but it's the sales that count in the first week and all the pre-orders. Because if you didn't know this, pre-orders, and this is for if you have friends that write books, if they ask you to pre-order it on Amazon, this is the same system. Basically, all of the pre-orders count for that first day of sales. And the first day of sales then will have a little bit of a spike, and that tells that Amazon algorithms and everything to put it on their homepage, and it says, oh, there's something happening. So it's like it gets in front of people that are not just your followers. So that's why I sort of do the pre-order. And that's why, you might have friends that do pre-orders for some of their products. And the Billboard charts count the first day through the 7th day of a release. So that means tomorrow ending at midnight is really our best chance, because a lot of people pre-ordered, right? If they're going to get the record, they most likely pre-ordered. It's the best chance to get in the Billboard charts. Not that it can't happen later if I get some crazy big spike, but that is why I really do the sales push in the first week here. So I'm just like every couple of minutes, just going to put the 3 links there, just so you know, till the end of today, it's on Bandcamp for $3.77, and you get 4 tracks that don't have the soloists on them. So you get ambient tracks on Bandcamp too. So those are the 3 places. If you already purchased, I love you. Thank you. Leave a review. Reviews actually help in the searching. And, you know, if someone types in a word that might be on the record, even if they're not searching for the record, it will show up. There's all sorts of digital stuff back here. So as an indie artist, it's fun to set goals. It's actually something that I teach a lot. I think that there are a lot of different things I could be going after, like 1,000 new followers on Spotify, or TV shows, or live. And it just can be really overwhelming, especially when it's like, I'm the only one making decisions here. So I don't have other people being like, no, you should do this. So I have to create a goal for myself in order to like stay sane. So this happens to be the goal, is to get on the Billboard chart this year, despite actual Billboard people telling me don't bother. So I'm like, I kind of want to prove them wrong, but I'm just going to keep plopping those links in. No pressure, but you know, you can do, if you've got stuff in your Amazon cart and you're getting like the dog toy and like a set of light bulbs, just like toss in an album, like no big deal. Just toss in the digital album. Just, oh, Matt, you're the best. Jennifer, oh gosh, you got carried away with my story. I'm a detriment to my own sales. Amazing. So cool. Yeah. So Josh, the 4 tracks are basically the 4 singles that Sherry, Sangeeta, Danae, Sangeeta and Danae just won Grammys for Best Classical Vocalist, Soloist, which is really cool. I take their instrumentations, their solos off, and I sort of remixed the beds, the music beds, so they're real ambient tracks without this sort of punctured solo, which is beautiful, and that's why I wanted them on the album. But I also was like, well, I have these ambient tracks, I might be able to do more with the playlist. So I'm releasing them as singles, 1 a month over the next couple months. But right now, if you get it on Bandcamp, you get all of those versions too. So that's what's there. I didn't know how to give them away on Amazon and iTunes, but Bandcamp, you have a lot of freedom to kind of do whatever on the platform, including change the price. I would have changed the price on Amazon and on iTunes, but they don't let you do that. You kind of have no control there. So awesome. All right. So I'm going to share my screen, and what you're going to see is a Logic session. This is literally what I had on my laptop on the train after I had written some stuff. So let me share my screen, share the sound, make sure I'm sharing the stereo sound, share my desktop, and tell me if you see a Logic session, which would be a lot of colors. Are we seeing
Yes.
that? Thank you, Josh. Okay, amazing. So then the last thing I just need to check to make sure that you're going to hear the audio. Nope, that's wrong. It's got to be Zoom, apply. You should be able to still hear me talking. You gotta love doing Zoom calls with audio, people. And can you hear like a drum? Yes. Okay, cool. And that's like coming through, it's not coming through the microphone. It's actually, you're hearing that. Okay, cool. I rarely do sound. Ooh, that did some funny things. I know what I need to do. I need to turn my volume off here. Okay, cool. So basically what I did was I had this tiny keyboard. Hold on, I'm gonna show it to you. This is what I brought on the train with me. Isn't it cute? So it's an M Audio key station. I bought it in Germany because I blew out the plug of my big keyboard and I didn't want to travel with another one. So I've had this, I've flown with it. I've lost knobs. Like, I don't even know what that knob does, but I never used it, but I lost it. So this connects to my laptop just via USB, and it's like a half a pound. So it's great to travel with. And it's basically my MIDI controller. So I would play in a note and I would tell the computer, okay, I want this track to be, I'm going to open a folder here. You're going to see a lot of tracks show up here. I want it to be a string sound. So then I can play on my little keyboard. This is a very quiet string sound. And then it's actually strings. So I wasn't, I didn't carry violins with me or trumpets or synthesizers or anything like that. When I got in touch with Amtrak, I'm going to bring my chat box down here. I got in touch with Amtrak and I tried to do a lot of getting them to promote with me. And they were like, wait, what are you doing? You can't. The first thing that the woman wrote back was, you can't disturb the passengers, right? And I was like, I know that. And then I was like, oh, of course, I guess if you're not like in the music world, it's, nope, that's my husband. I'm going to mute him. I guess if you're in the music world, and you're not in the music world, you're not thinking like, oh, of course she's making a digital album and it's going to be electronic and she's going to wear headphones. Like, I think they were imagining me like carrying on a drum kit and like a bass guitar and I don't know what they were thinking. So I had to be like, oh, this is how this is going to go. Like, I'm going to be in headphones. Like, no one's going to hear a peep out of me. So I had my headphones on and then I could play in these, I could pick different sounds and instruments. This piece had quirky harp. That's I had a couple like normal instruments. Like I did have this French horn here, just a little bigger part, but I messed with it. So I can select the sound and then I can actually open the sound and say, you know what, I want this filter to do this and I want it to have a slower attack so it doesn't sound quite like a French horn. So I would tweak the actual source of the sample so that I really made all of the sounds my own. There was no single sound that I just selected and didn't change. This is like a low sort of bassy sound. It was really funny because the train is so loud. I brought this microphone, this little teeny the microphone you're hearing me talk through. I brought it with me. And I thought that I was going to maybe be inspired by the train sounds and like record the choo choo and the chugga 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 chugga. But it's like, like it's just noise. Like it's so loud. And I was like, I never took this mic out of its case. Like the entire 9 days I was on the train, I was like, I was like, nope, there's nothing that's inspiring me here. My big emotions of grieving my friend and seeing the moon in the room and the landscape is what really was inspiring to me. So I was like, we're not recording the train sounds. But because there was so much low rumble, I knew I had to add like bass sounds and stuff. But when I got home and I started to mix it, because I mixed it at home, the idea was to have it completely composed and produced, like all of the sounds in there. I got home and I was like, none of my tracks have any bass in them, because I was assuming I was hearing bass because the train was there was so much low end like rumbling. And so part of me, I think, was just thinking that was in my track and that these synthesizers I had chosen had this like nice low rumble. No, it was the train. So I had to kind of like mix some low end out and like pull some low end. So I actually had, a bass and it wasn't just like a treble album. So, so I'm going to mute a couple of things because this version of the Chariot is actually what we played to at the Grammys party with the Dallas String Quartet. So we played this live. So I'm going to mute the stuff that we ended up playing live. So I added a percussion track and it's actually a lot more energy. And we're going to re-record it and release it as another remix single, which is kind of fun. But what you are going to hear is, where's the Dallas String Quartet? Oh, so I recorded strings. Like I actually just played in the string parts and then I went and I wrote sheet music for them. And then they ended up recording their parts and sending it back to me. So the blue is what the Dallas String Quartet sent back. So I'm going to unmute that and play their live strings versus just what they played, if that makes sense. Oh, hey, Chad. So good to see you here. I totally see that there. Oh, Eric, thanks. I'm glad you like the new color here. Just reading the chat box. So I'm just going to play a little bit of this and I think the piano's not muted. You don't need me to play along. I could play along, but yeah, we've got all of the things here. So hear that? Turn the pins up. not normally that loud. Dallas. I think what that is. Open this up. What you're seeing down here they are. This is the sound of the violins. Cello doesn't actually come in until way later in this version, and other versions. So, and look how I name my sections. Section A, Section B, new, which is dumb because obviously Section B is new. And then B is for bass drop. This is like Section B again, but bass drop. Let's jump ahead. Let's go to the bass drop. My speakers are cracked. And you can see, French horns are coming in, and so it's a little more cinematic, which may be why I got up to the Bridgerton playlist. So that's what it looks like. So all of this stuff that's black, it's muted right now. So this was stuff that I was playing around with, that I brought in later for the newer version that we wanted, because when we got invited to play at this live show, I was like, you want some new age music at a party? Like, they're like, yeah, just like liven it up a little. I'm like, but they like, if you look at the original sheet music, I'm going to show it to you on the screen. I'm going to stop my share. I'm going to show you on my iPad. If you look at the original sheet music for Dallas String Quartet, they literally play whole notes, like a whole note that's tied for like 8 measures, which means it's very slow and boring, which is what the point of this piece was. But when they said to juice it up, I'm going to play you now what we ended up doing. I'm not going to show you sheet music because I don't know where it is, but I'm going to show you what the sneak peek of what the single is going to be with Dallas String Quartet when we actually add in all these drums and fun stuff here. Okay. And they do all sorts of cool stuff with their strings now. So it's not just them holding notes. They have like this, they do 8th notes and 16th notes. And so we added some just big drum stuff. You get the point. You get the picture. But all of my sessions sort of started with just a blank sheet of paper, or, you know, a blank session there. And I would just open a synthesizer and pick a sound. I kind of would just scroll through until like a name popped out. And then I would just kind of plunk around. I wanted to make sure that every piece on the album was in a different key or time signature. So it wasn't all monotonous, even though it is an ambient record, which can tend to feel monotony a little bit. So I wanted to kind of counter that a little bit. How did I get the sheet music? Oh, that's a great question. Trace, let me share my screen. I should just keep the screen on, right? So the cool thing about this, so let's just click on, so when I click on the piano part here, or let's just do string parts for DSQ, right? Oh no, this is this thing. So if I click here, I have the option. So this is basically the notes, right? But I have the option to look at the score. And to turn the score, then I export it and I bring it into a different program where I can neaten it up and really make it look like professional sheet music. So that's what I did for them. And I knew that, so for Sherry, I just sent her the track and there were some melodies, and for the other collaborators on the album, I just sent them my track and I gave them some chords. And there's melodies embedded, but I really said, I don't know what you hear with your instrument. Like Lily Hayden played violin and she was like, I also hear a vocal thing that's like, that I could amplify if I sang this little thing. So there was a collaboration in the sense that I didn't write out notes for everyone, just the Dallas String Quartet, and I kind of let everyone else and I gave them options. I was like, would you like something written, or do you want to just like kind of improvise over it and just kind of feel it? And they were all like, yeah, no, we want to feel it. Obviously with a string quartet, it's a little different because you've got 4 people trying to coordinate parts, and we also had a time limit. So I am going to make this available to watch again. Yes. Great question. Anyone else? Yeah, the static came in on the peaks. I heard that too. I don't know what that is. If that's like a Zoom Logic, all the things running. It's not on the recording, so that's good. um, I do love strings. I actually never put synth strings on anything. I also rarely will ever put a synth acoustic guitar on anything. And what's the other thing I have? Shakers. I will always do a shaker. I have so many shakers. I have no excuse to not do a good shaker track. So, but yeah, I mean, it would be amazing if I could have a real French horn and a real harp and a real, like all of the things, right? But it was an electronic and synthesized ambient album. But I had done a little research that there are a lot of playlists for ambient music that have live strings, and some of the like prerequisites are no synth strings. So I knew that I wanted to have at least one track that didn't have synth strings, and none of my tracks have synth strings as like a solo instrument. They might be like supporting a synthesizer electronic sound, and it's not meant to be like, oh, that's a violin, but it might just be sort of a timbre that I wanted, the synthesizer version. So I agree, Shanti. And Shanti is an amazing fiddle and violin player as well. So I you are biased, but I also agree with you. Sarah, I use Finale, but Syllabus is Sibelius is another program that's really similar to Finale. I've been using Finale since like 2003, and so I feel like I'm the old dog, new trick, kind of not changing it up unless I have a really good reason to. So I got my sheet together, Jeff, with the sheet music puns. I love it. So yay. Yeah, and if you get so I just got a couple private messages. Yeah, if you get the album on Bandcamp, you do get 4 extra tracks. So Bandcamp will send you an email and say you can download your album now, and those you'll have 13 tracks instead of 9. And they should just be with the album. I think if that's not the case, let me know. So
That's the way
yeah.
Bandcamp usually works. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. So if you're like, what are you talking about? I can buy your album with that song on it? Well, yes, you can. Here are the links again. I told you I was gonna do that. Okay, so I see some questions I'm really excited to answer. Rebecca, is there something specific you had to do to get Logic to play in Zoom? Oh, yes. I had to go into Logic and tell it the input and the output had to be Zoom. When Zoom is on, like Logic automatically detects that, and then you have to set your output and input that way. Yeah. Oh, Josh, you use Finale too? That's awesome. Very cool. Why Logic versus Pro Tools? So I used to work in a recording studio. I was an intern at the Cutting Room Recording Studios in New York City. It was like my first job. And I learned Pro Tools, but I also learned that Pro Tools is like really the thing for live studios, for engineers, for mixing. And when I got into, and I was like, okay, cool. This is how we write music. We write on Pro Tools. But then when I got my job at the Jingle House, the composing house that I worked for in New York, everyone was using Logic. And so I had in college learned Digital Performer, which is the ancient vintage version of Logic, Ableton, all of these programs, right? And so I was like, I'm gonna pick up Logic so easily. And like for the first year I worked there, I was like, Logic is not logical. Like I was super bitter that no one used Pro Tools because I had just relearned Pro Tools at the other job I had. So, but now again, I kind of like once I learn a program, I get pretty just learning how like tall I am with this desk, and I might need to adjust my chair. It's new. It's a new space, y'all. My first Zoom call with my background here. So yeah, so Logic just was what all the composers that I was around was using. And as I started to do freelance, a lot of those jingle houses would say, hey, send us a Logic session. It just seemed to be like the composer industry standard for advertising. And then working with my mentor, Sean Callery, he writes the music for a lot of CBS shows like Elementum, and right now he's doing Bull, and Star Trek. So he is a mentor of mine, and when I kind of saw his setup, I was like, okay, yeah, this is sort of like Logic for composing, Pro Tools for mixing down and stuff like that. But I don't use Pro Tools. I don't have a big enough system or rig, and even when I've done feature films, I have what I need inside of Logic. So yeah, I just keep getting deeper into it and learning more about it. So I feel like I'm just gonna hang out with Logic now. And I like couldn't even turn on Pro Tools right now if you told me to. Like I'm like I don't remember anything about Pro Tools. So there's that. Yeah. I don't know anything about Ableton either. For a long time, I think Ableton was PC based and I was a Mac person. So I know that's not true anymore, but I don't know anything. I know it's great for live mixing and remixing, and I kind of want to do some like Imogen Heap kind of live show, and everyone's like, "You got to get Ableton," and I'm like, "Ooh!" So it's been on my mind a little bit, but do these count towards your overall sales numbers to get on Billboard? Yes, Josh, they do. So thank you if you purchased. Yeah. Becca, you love Logic. Yeah, cool. I mean, does anyone have oh, so many questions. You're also welcome to unmute. I love talking to like real people. How much time do you allow for auditioning sounds? That's a great question. So auditioning sounds, what Carlene means by that is like anytime I put on my headphones and I sat down, I was like, okay, I'm ready to write a piece of music. Because I didn't create a template, because there's a way in Logic you can create a template. Like if I know I'm going to do string quartet work, I will open my string quartet template, which has the tracks all ready to go, the violins, the viola, the cello, and boom, I don't need to like set up all those tracks. I knew that I wanted the train ride itself to be the container in which I did all of the musical stuff, including choosing sounds. So I didn't set up any templates. I didn't go ahead of time, and I thought about it. I was like, oh, I could set up like 3 or 4 different like, here are some synthesizers that I just really love. So I had like a bank of go-to sounds because I was using Contact and Alchemy and like a bunch of different native instrument synthesizers that you can kind of purchase, and then you have this big bank of like thousands of different synths and sounds, and you can choose the soft keyboard or the noir film bank or this percussion or the African flutes or the like. There's all sorts of different banks I can choose from, and so I would have saved a lot of time if I had set up a couple, like found some of my favorites that I ended up using a couple times, but I didn't. So I think auditioning sounds was probably like a third of the time I spent per piece, just from the composing process, and mixing and all that stuff was later. So it was a lot of like, like headphones on, clink, no, clink, no, me, no, zing, no, no, like literally all of that was kind of my world for a good part of that train ride. Let's see. That's a great question, Carlene. Thank you. Eric says, did you find the music writing on the train came easily? I did. I was not worried about like, is inspiration going to hit? I've always, having worked in a jingle house, an advertising house, where it's like, cool, we need you to write 3 different versions of this and it's due in 45 minutes. It's like, it's kind of like it's not like an inspiration thing. It's like you sit down and you write the thing, right? So I've been trained in the I need it yesterday like deadline. So I knew like, okay, cool, I have 5 days on this train out. The plan was to fly home, y'all. I don't know if you know that, but 3 days into the train ride, I was like, I knew I was going to be good with the music because I had 6 pieces of music. I wanted 7 tracks, because 7 tracks or 30 minutes of music is what the recording, five songs or 30 minutes of music is what the Recording Academy legitimately calls an album. Like if you want to win a Grammy for an album, you have to have a certain number of tracks and a certain amount of time on the album. So I was like, okay, I'll use that as the parameter for album. By the time I got to Los Angeles, I had 12 tracks. 3 of them were complete poo-poo, and so they did not make the album. But I knew I wanted more time just on the train and the experience. So I took a train home. So when I say I was on the train for 9 days, the way home is when I edited and brought in some of the soloists and stuff like that. But that being said, I had 3 songs within the first 14 hours on the train, and they were pretty much 2 to 3 minutes, like complete ideas, like A sections. Like it wasn't just like drones. I was very, very inspired early in the morning. The more somber songs, especially the first 2 on the record, The Light That's Left and The Beautiful Bridge, which Lily Hayden is playing beautiful violin on, those, you can tell I wrote those right when I woke up, because every single night I had very vivid dreams of my friend who had just passed away. He, like, every single night I had questions I wanted to ask him, and I woke up with this like often just crying. And so there's really big, heavy emotions in the mornings. I say when I woke up, like the train is like honking at rail, like crossings, like every hour. Like sleep is like a very relative term for the, on the train. I'm a really light sleeper. Some people are like, I heard people snoring and I'm like, who, what, how, who? I mean, those people are in the same category as people that can sleep on a plane sitting up completely straight. Like, I don't understand you. I don't understand what planet you're from. So I'm a light sleeper. So, but when I woke up in the morning, I had these like somber, like just kind of like, it was really just emotional. And I feel like I just got lucky picking sounds that kind of played to that emotion. The Light That's Left, that was the first single that came out, and I got such a good response with that. And there's this like lingering, and there's space. My music is very similar to how I talk. I like to put fun, intricate things in it, and it's a lot at once, and it's rarely pauses, and it's fast, and like in general. And this album was not that. And so there was a lot of space, and it came easy. Yeah, it came really easily, and it wasn't because I sat down to do the work, although I think that's part of it. Like there were days where I was like, I would love to just sit here. I mean, there were times specifically in the Rocky Mountains when the Colorado River, which was frozen, it was January, was like right out the window. And you have this big, like huge windows, like your whole wall is a window. And luckily I was on the first floor. And anytime we stopped, I would go out and I would wash my window so I wouldn't have streaks on it. I got a lot of jokes and people asked me if I would come do theirs. But I mean, I had to put my computer down because there were like hundreds of elk running across this frozen river with like the mountains and snow. Like it was just ridiculous. Like it was so beautiful. So the inspiration was there. But there was also the deadline and the like, this is a challenge, like let's do it. So yeah, it came easily. I was happy about that. But good question, Eric. Thank you. Yeah, let's see what else here. Customer support. Why record a train to begin with? Yeah, because they have good tracks. Oh my God, Jeff, who are you with these jokes? Yeah, first of all, there are a lot of very good puns. This was like a marketer's dream, like not even on purpose. Like I had the idea. So here's, if you didn't watch the video, the making of video, y'all, it's pretty good. It's pretty epic. I took some good footage. I knew that I was like, I don't know what to do with this footage right now, but I knew I wanted it. So anytime I took a video, I took it vertical for reels and stuff like that. And then I would take the same footage, like pretty much, and I would go cinematic and take like a video for like YouTube. And I just knew that I dumped it into a Google Drive, and I had my unicorn of assistant, Robin Tucker. Every night I would say, okay, day one is in the Google Drive, and he would separate them out into horizontal and vertical. So then I just could pull from them later when I actually started getting into the marketing brain and not the composing brain. So, but this story just kind of wrote itself. Like I was going to fly to LA, and I was looking for flights, and I was like, they're so expensive. And I think I said to my husband, I'm like, I should just take a train, like kind of like jokey jokester, which I've done before and like ended up in Switzerland. So I should really watch it. But I went down a rabbit hole and I was like, train trips look interesting. And, my sister and Silas and everyone in my family was like, okay, that sounds like a nightmare. Like claustrophobia? Like what? No, this sounds awful, but you go girl, if you want to do it. That was like pretty much the response I got. And I was like, I think I want to do it. I think I need to think I wanted to travel and like get out of my space. That was one of the reasons why I renovated the studio, is because I was itching. The space wasn't doing it for me. And it might have been grieving Kevin. It might have been just being in the same space for too long, COVID. But I was like, travel. I was exhausted from all those big emotions and the grief and all the things. And I was like, I don't want to travel because traveling, especially during COVID, is like kind of stressful and always takes a lot of energy. But there was something about the train trip that was like the best of both worlds. You could literally see the country going by at 80 miles an hour, like from the forest to the plains to the cities to the mountains to the like palm trees 8 hours later after the snow covered mountains. Was kind of extraordinary. But I was lying down in bed and people brought me lunch. Like, come on now. It was like resting plus moving. It was a very strange but awesome. I can't think of another place in life where that's a thing, like where you can have that kind of rest and also go on. You guys, how in the beginning of this call I was like, I wonder if my mom's gonna make it on. She did. I'm not even gonna tell you who she is, but she did. So yes, Jeff, thank you for the jokes. Why record on a train? Because of the tracks. Yes. But I was talking to Silas, who is the cute guy down there, my husband, and I was like, oh, what did I say? Oh, Silas, what was the like morbid thing that we realized was a train word and a oh, yeah. So I'm gonna make a record, a record. And he was like, a train record? I was like, yeah, I'm making a train record. I'm making a train record. Train wreck. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of those. I went through a whole land of tracks and trains and things like that. So um let's see. Oh, we're getting technical. How much RAM do you suggest having for music that typically has as many tracks as yours? Let's see. Let's just see what I have. I did have to upgrade my computer last year, I think. How do you find out your about this Mac? I had no problems. Is that so? My memory. Oh, I have 64 gigabytes. That's a lot of RAM. But I think it depends on your. I think it's going to depend on what program you're using and how many samples you're pulling from and what's native inside the program and what other stuff you've got going on. I always closed all my windows and all the other programs so I could keep the overload down. You know what I'm saying, Joshua. So yeah. Matt, my trip was 5 days out. So from New York to Los Angeles, I took sort of a longer route through the Rocky Mountains and then and down to Los Angeles. And that was 5 days. And then I stayed 2 days with my sister in Los Angeles and just kind of hung out, didn't touch the music at all. And then I took the shorter version home called the Southwest Chief. And that just basically went from LA back to Chicago directly. And then both times I had to switch trains in Chicago. And that was 4 days. So the train ride, I was on a train for 9 days, but it was like an 11-day trip because there was 2 days in the middle there. And Haley says, what's a shower on a train like? Y'all have a video. I could share a video. It's a good, interesting story. Okay, first of all, showering on a moving train should be an Olympic sport. Do not recommend it. I waited like 2 days because I showered right before I left. I was like, okay, I can wait 2 days. And like 2 days and I was like, for the good of the other passengers, I should shower. So it's like this tiny little hallway and you have this little door and you open it and it's actually like, it was more spacious than I thought. I'll post it on my my Instagram, y'all. I'm CBE music over there in a couple days because I'm going to do another recap of the train stuff. Maybe tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. But it's like a normal size little like gym shower and you can lock the door and there's a little sink and they have towels for you, but it's slippery. And when you're moving side to side, like, I don't understand how more people don't get concussions and maybe I don't know why they let people do it while the train is moving. So I figured out that the best time to do it is when you're in one of the longer, like fresh air stops, the longer station stop where it's like 15 minutes. Cause I take like a minute and a half shower. And then the other tip is just wait till you get to Chicago because you have to switch in Chicago. You have a 6-hour layover and they have the most gorgeous, big, beautiful, clean showers and you give them your license. They give you a key. Someone just cleans it. You take a shower and then you come back. Someone cleans it again for the next person. You get your license back. And so that's just what I'm going to do for, any other time is just shower at the Union Station in Chicago because that was delightful. So yeah, I did not shower on the train after that first time moving. I did one other time and then I would just go in and like do a little rinsey rinse, TMI, you guys? We're all friends here. So, oh, Eric, you like the making a video. Thank you. Oh, I should have the link up here, but I don't have it because I have these links. What? Oh, the links where you can get the album. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. I bet your mom is the lady with the biggest smile. Aw, Shanti, that would be amazing if Shanti lives in Alaska and is not my mom, but my mom also has a big, beautiful smile and is not quite on camera, although her camera is on. So that's the hint. Becca, am I planning on doing it again? Another train trip. If you told me right now I had to get on a train, I would be so psyched to do that. I was talking with some friends with my husband and he was talking about getting to New York City. Oh yeah, like Poughkeepsie is the station where Cheryl gets the train to New York. And I was like, and where I get the train to Los Angeles, technically. So it's not hard. It's really not hard. The Amtrak, the Amtrak website is actually really easy to book a a trip, I called, and because I had a lot of like, I wanted to go down the coast of LA. If you book on, they do the shortest routes. If you book on there, if you want to go like a longer route, they like, you have to call someone. I also looked at floor plans of the sleeper cars because I'm such a light sleeper. I was trying to anticipate like where the least amount of foot traffic walking by me would be, or where the bathrooms were. So I called with like an agenda. And this woman, her name was Letitia, and I should have written a song for her, because she was like, "Oh no, girl, you want room 11." And I was like, "Okay, tell me why." She's like, "First of all, if you don't sleep well, the higher you are in the sleeper car," because I thought I wanted to be on the second floor. "The higher you are, the more wobbly the train is up there." Even in my own car, you have your two seats turn into a bed, and then you have a bunk bed. So I was like, I love bunk beds. Like when I was a freshman in college, I moved in with my roommate, or in my sophomore year, and I was like, top bunk. She's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to fight you for that." Like apparently no one wants the top bunk, but I was like, top bunk. I slept on the top bunk for 2 days, and I kept thinking, I kept waking up and like, I'm going to fall off. You have little like string things that hold you in. But apparently the bottom bunk is less movement and 2 inches wider, which makes a difference. So Letitia told me that I wanted to be on the bottom floor, which is great because then I got to wash my windows. And she also said that the top floor is where the sleeper cars all connect. So if someone goes to the bathroom, they walk on the top floor from car to car. So you're actually like, all the foot traffic is on the top floor, not the bottom floor. So I was like, okay, bottom floor it is. She totally hooked me up. It was great. I would love to do another train trip, but I don't know. My next trip, I'm going to Ireland. Before COVID, I was scrolling through Airbnb. I look up ridiculous things on Airbnb just for fun, like window shopping where you have no intention of buying. And I was like, let's look up castles. You see what happens when I like say things? And I found this, like, it's like a tower. It's literally a kitchen on the bottom floor. It looks like it's something out of Harry Potter. It's gorgeous. And then there's like a library, and then there's a bedroom. So it's like one room with like spiral stone. It's all stone staircase. And it's this tower. It was like $99. And I was like, what? This should be thousands of dollars a night. And I was like, book. And I booked it like 10 months in advance. And I was supposed to go the first year of COVID, and then it moved to a couple months later because we're like, it will last only a couple months, right? So this is the fourth time I've moved this trip, and it's happening in the middle of May, and I'm going to my stupid castle once and for all. So that's my next trip. And I don't think I'm going to be able to take a train there, but train wrecked was a proud moment for me. Yes, Silas, that was train record. Yep. It was good. Better than home record. Yes. So there's that. Yes. The train trips, it was amazing. Let's see. Derailed. Yes, there's so many things. Jennifer guessed my mom. Yep. Good job. Oh yeah, I've traveled in so first of all, I love trains. I traveled like 7 times through Switzerland. So I have pictures with my band and all of our gear, and the only way we got around was trains, because trains in Switzerland are so, it's like they connect to every airport. It's like hailing a cab. It's just so easy to get around, even if you don't speak any of the languages or read any of the language. So I've always loved trains. I've always felt very comfortable traveling on trains. I'm also someone that gets seasick and car sick, and trains are like the one mode of transportation where I can read and not get nauseous. Although the first 19 hours on the train, when I got to the Chicago station, so from New York to Chicago, it was 19 hours, right? So I leave at 5 o'clock at night. It's basically through the night, and you arrive in the morning, like 9 a.m. in Chicago. I got off the train, and my body felt like it should still be wobbling. And I had like low grade nausea for like 12 hours. I was like, oh, this is not good. But it went away as soon as I got back on the train. And then like 12 hours into that train ride is when I canceled my flight home and booked another train back. So yeah, I just love that. It's so funny because some of you may or may not know that I went to school to be a marine biologist. Like that's what I studied. And I got a double major in biology and music because I realized pretty soon that I was going down the music road. But I get seasick, and I hate being on small crafts. And yet my first job was scuba diving for the government after college. So, trains are way cool. Way cool. Did I get the top bunk experience as a child? I did not. And I always wanted to. I always loved the top bunk thing. So yes. So Josh, I love that you said this. It's an amazing way to travel, especially if you're a conversation person, which you all know I am. You can just sit in the view car and talk your heart out. I had zero interest in talking. I had like serious, like, don't talk to me vibes. And first of all, it was that peak in COVID, right? So it was like COVID peak. It was one of the reasons why they gave you the option to have meals brought to your room. There was a dining car and an observation car. The dining car was only for people in the sleeper car, and the observation car, anyone, including coach or anyone else, could come in. So the observation cars have glass over the ceilings. So it's just a lot more like panoramic views. I felt like my room had a pretty good view because it was so tall. So I went into those, but sometimes they got crowded in the dining cars. When those got crowded, sometimes they were empty and sometimes they were crowded. It depended on the hour and which leg of the trip we were in. Like around Denver, it was like packed. So it was like 40 people eating in the peak of COVID, everyone with their masks off. And I was just like, nope. So I had some serious, like, no interest vibes in talking to people, but I know that that's a big part of train travel, and I could see other people like really enjoying that part. I actually joined some Facebook groups, the Amtrak fans. Amtrak fans is a like 30,000 person Facebook group. So I joined that and said, hey, I'm doing this thing. And like hundreds of people were like, this is so cool. And like, I got all these people to join my mailing list because they're just interested. And so I sort of shared and posted in those groups. And someone actually posted like, hey, Cheryl, I think I see you on the train, but you look like you're really like, I had my headphones on and my keyboard, and like, it's not a normal setup to like see someone sitting at a train, like eating their mashed potatoes with like a keyboard in front of them. So this woman like posted in the Amtrak group, she's like, hey, Cheryl, I think that you're on my train. I see you, but you look really focused. I don't want to bother you. So just like, hey, sending good vibes. And I was like, that's so awesome. And that's definitely the best way to communicate to me right now is via a Facebook group that I get a message from. So yes, very true. I loved my attendant on the California Zephyr, which was, they're all the trains are named. So that's the leg from Chicago to Sacramento. And then I switched trains in Sacramento. So the attendants, there's a sleeper car attendant, and this person, I don't know when they sleep. First of all, they're supposed to like tell you when they go off at 10 and then they're available again at 6 in the morning, but like there's stops along the way and they're taking people's bags on and off. But that's the person who comes, and Roger was my attendant, and he was like, I'll turn down your room, and they take the seats because you have 2 seats facing you, and then they turn it into a bed. Like he does the cranking, whatever, which I figured out to do by the last train. It was 5 trains total that I switched to. And he did it. And then in the morning he comes back and he's like, I'll make your room up again. And I was like, just leave it as a bed. Like, I was like, why would I not just want to lie down take naps in the middle of the day? So I let him he let me keep the bed the whole trip. So I didn't have to turn it back into seats. I was like, if I need to sit up, I'll go to the observation car, or like, but I'm someone who loves sitting in bed and like reading and writing and watching TV, like anything. So I was like, this is awesome. I'm literally lying down, like making a record, looking out like, what is this? This is crazy. So, but that's a great question. So no, I didn't really have anyone that shifted my writing in a new direction, from an inspiration standpoint. There was this darling woman, and I don't think she spoke much English. She was the friendliest person on the train for the longest time. Like anytime we got out and did like they called it a smoking break or a fresh air break, which I find ironic. I'm like, which one is it? Because you can't have both. Like, if you're smoking, it's not fresh air. But we would get off the train, and she would come over and in her very thick accent ask if I wanted a picture taken of me in front of the train. I let her take one picture of me. I actually posted it today. But she would like wander around, and on these fresh air breaks, you had about 15 minutes. They were the longer stops, right? Not the 5-minute like on and off, and they weren't the like layovers. So like you stay on the same train, you don't have to move your stuff or anything. And they're always really like, the conductor's like, don't wander off. You have only 15 minutes. Listen for the first train bell, listen for the second train bell. You have 2 bell warnings to get back on the train, right? So I'm with her like all the way from Chicago. We get on the same train from Sacramento. I see her again. She's like hard to miss because she's like this tiny, petite, cute, adorable little woman with her like huge bags. And then somewhere we had like maybe 4 hours before we get to Los Angeles, 4 or 5 hours, we had another one of these stops, which we had been doing for literally 3 days straight. We get back on, and I see my attendant like in a couple hours later, like packing up her stuff and like bringing her big bag. And I was like, oh, that's nice of you to help. And he's like, well, I got to drop it off at the Los Angeles station because she's on the train behind us because she didn't make it back on the train. I was like, oh, of all the people that missed the train, like she must have been like asking someone if she wanted to take their picture for them and being polite, but she missed the train. So her stuff was still on our train and she did not get on it for some reason after 3 days of like learning the drill. So it was apparently the attendant had it all figured out and he didn't seem too worried about it, but yeah. Does it have a roof? Does what have a roof? The observation car is covered in glass, I think. Yes. Oh, does the castle have a roof? I don't know what that question is from. But everything has a roof, as far as I know. Trace, you're playing the album on Spotify. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, come to Australia. Ooh, that would be amazing. I did have an epic journey. Jeff, thank you. All right, y'all. I was gonna play a song. I sort of walked you through that that track. I just want you to listen. I've got to still figure out my sound stuff here. I could play a song on ukulele through my through my microphone here, but it's definitely not the vibe of the album. Who was the conductor who was singing? Oh my gosh, Eric saw that video I posted. I woke up and it was like I actually was sleeping and it was 9 o'clock in the morning and they must have just switched conductors and he was like, we had just crossed over into California and he was singing some "Welcome to California," like big voice, like over the loudspeaker. And I was like, oh, hell no. Like it is too early for that. And in the rooms, you can turn the loudspeaker off, but they turned them off from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So I was like, I'm not going to sleep past 6. Why would I sleep past 6? I haven't slept at all. And of course I'm sleeping and he's singing at 9 in the morning. And I thought it was really sweet at first. And then the second day I was like, okay, sir. Thank you. But yeah, I don't know his name, but I mean, he was delightful. I love that, in New York City, when you have the conductor in the subways, that's like actually funny. And like, you kind of, the flight attendant that like calls you out on your crap. I gotta love that. Carlene says, what is your human design? I don't know what that means, but I'm tempted to like stand up and be like, this is my human design. I want to know more about what that question means. Josh, it was good to see you. Oh, the Irish Castle. Yes. You'll be in Australia. What computer do you use your Logic on? Oh, I'm on a MacBook Pro. Let's see about this Mac. The 16-inch from 2019. Yeah. That's the all the stuff here. So yeah. Well, everyone, I have to tell you, the last thing that I'll end with is what's happened so far this week since the album came out. So I went on the train January 22nd. I was on it for 9 days. I was committed to mixing the record and sending it to master by February 22nd, the day before my birthday. The first single came out March 22nd. And the album came out April 22nd. And the idea came to me around December 22nd. So we're about a 4-month process, which is kind of fast for a record release cycle, if you're me, at least. So it's kind of just go, go, go. So since we released it on Friday, it was number 1 on iTunes in New Age and number 1 on Amazon in New Age. What normally I'm like, cool, whatever. But last year it was also number 1. My record that came out last year was number 1 on iTunes and New Age, and it did not make the Billboard charts. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we're not doing really great, but it's hard to tell because Amazon and iTunes don't collect your purchase data. Like I don't see who purchases on iTunes or Amazon. They don't tell you that. They never will. They don't share that data. So I only know how well those sales did when I get paid for it, which is about 3 months out. So I'm not going to actually see that money until, July or August. Speaking of which, you're like, what links? What Amazon links? There you go. They're the links again. So that happened. The other thing that happened, it got placed on an editorial playlist on Spotify, which is super big, an ambient playlist. It also got on some other ones like the Bridgerton season 2, Bridgerton, whatever, their official playlist of Bridgerton, which is fun because I liked Bridgerton a lot. And there are some quotes, like Indie Band Guru said, Passenger is one of the year's best releases, which is really cool. It was on the homepage of Apple News, an article about it was on the home. So there's like cool stuff happening. So if anyone has done anything, like shared one of these links, bought it, like commented or liked or even said like nice job, go for it, like thank you very much. Like this is a very, it's one of the reasons why I wanted to redo my studio, to really feel like comfortable in my own space. But we're very lonely, us musicians. We're doing a lot of this stuff on our own. I'm a big fan of team, and I have a beautiful team and people that are supporting me and work with me. But it is still like you kind of got to call the things, it's your art. And so anyone that has contributed and done anything you're such a gift. So thank you. I really, really appreciate it. And I use CD Baby for digital distribution. I use CD Baby Pro actually. So they manage all the payments. They collect payments from everywhere, and I pay them 15% or something royalty, because I can't be bothered to set it up on my own because I have too many things to do. So I consider them, CD Baby, the platform, part of my team, because they do that for me. So Eric, that's so nice. Silas, thank you for saying thanks, Cheryl B. Engelhardt. Silas is my husband, so that's a funny little thing to put in the chat box. But thank you. So with no further ado, I'm going to leave you to share those links. Just how many times can I post them in the chat box? Is it cute yet? Have you bought it on all 3 platforms yet? With anyone you want. We've got until tomorrow midnight until the sales stop counting for this first week. And as I tell my friends, if you buy the album after Thursday midnight, you're dead to me. I mean, it's fine. You're not dead to me. But that's kind of the game here. I'm going to put this on YouTube, this recording, and send a link out probably tomorrow. So there is stuff in the pipeline. So what's next is I'm working with the CEO of Disc Makers, and we are trying to figure out what NFTs mean for independent artists. And I actually have a couple that are dropping, that's the term, on Sunday night. From this album. We're using this album as a let's see about NFTs. So if you're into that world, let me know and I will tell you where to find my minted NFT. I'm learning a little bit about that. I'm working with a theater group doing a live theater production on how to deal with anxiety. And so I'm scoring that over the summer. And I've got a couple singles that I'm writing for Dallas String Quartet that we're going to release later in the year. And then we're going to go for a Grammy nomination for this album and our classical collaboration that Dallas String Quartet and I are doing. So that's what the year looks like. That and loving on my Amplify community, which is really, I'm working with a team to really enhance the experience of being an Amplify member. It's for musicians who are like looking to level up and just kind of have community. And I think it's my favorite place on the internet other than this Zoom call right now. So that's kind of what's happening for me, and also to go walk my dogs once in a while. So yeah, well, thank you everyone. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anyone's questions. Every time I post album links, I should have tooted here. One last toot. My mom gave this to me when I told her about this idea. There you go. I should have tooted. What a great idea. What a great little kitschy thing. I love it. So many people I have to just one last little quick story. So many people told me when I had this idea that they're like, oh, did you see the Sex and the City episode where they thought it would be cute to go on an overnight train ride and they all hated it? And I have seen that episode, but I can't tell you how many people told me to go watch it. So I rewatched it and I'm like, they obviously hate it, but I'm like, but it looks fun. So I trusted my gut and I was like, all right, I'm just going to go. So I just went. So trust your gut. That's the lesson of tonight. There's no lessons. This is just welcome to my new studio. Thank you for taking a peek on the inside of the Chariot session. That's the one that's getting on all these Bridgerton playlists, which is fun. And I so appreciate all of you, and have a wonderful evening. Okay, bye.